Hello guys, E1099 here and welcome to today's video where today we're going to be going through NRL tips and predictions round 3. Last week was very upset heavy. I think I got 4 correct, out of 8, so hopefully we try to do better and the NRL doesn't play us again. That'd be pretty cool, but anyways, just a bit of a short intro, let's get right into it. Starting off on Thursday, and we have a big boy game. This is where this big boy stake gets taken out. It is the Melbourne Storm up against the Penrith Panthers in the first clash since these two teams played in last year's grand final. And it's been rather interesting. The Melbourne Storm are coming off a bye after their round 1 win, demolishing Parramatta. And the Panthers are coming off scoring 32 points, but still not winning against the Roosters. This is going to be quite interesting to see where Penrith do line themselves up, because obviously Melbourne, I think in terms of the predictions, have been very favoured to win the premiership this year, plus getting them on a premiership as well. So I feel after last week's loss, this is going to be a very interesting match to see where exactly Penrith sort of line up in their current form. Melbourne obviously getting the fresh week of rest. It's I think this is going to be a pretty important match for them to get over, because obviously, like, they kind of just didn't really show up in the grand final last year. It was just Penrith sort of dominating for most of it, but I feel like this is a match that Melbourne can make a statement. And so with that, I'm going to say that I believe the Storm will win. Maybe teetering on 13 plus, but I think the game will be like a 14-point win or something like that. But yeah, I think this is the match where the Storm really announce themselves as like, yeah, we're switched on. Now we go into the first game on Friday, and it is the New Zealand Warriors up against the Sydney Roosters. Both teams ended up getting their first wins of the season last round, with the Warriors defeating Manly over in New Zealand, and the Roosters, as mentioned in the previous tip, beating Penrith at $11 odds. Why did that have to happen? I think it was really good to see from both teams showing like a bit of ticker after not having great performances in their first matches. So this, I think, could actually be a match of the round thing to see where do both teams again sort of line up in comparison to each other. Warriors are just about favourites, and I do think obviously being in New Zealand is going to be quite a decent factor in helping them get over the line. And unfortunately, just to say, I think that will be the case. I think that the New Zealand Warriors, in a very close game, will just about get over the line. And I generally think if any match is to go to Golden Point this round, to this one. And now we move on to the final game on Friday, where we have essentially the 4X derby, the Battle of Queensland, whatever you want to call it. It is the Brisbane Broncos up against the North Queensland Cowboys. Now, the Broncos are coming off a loss to Canberra down there in the nation's capital, and I feel like it was a really weird performance because not a lot of their players who did play so well in round 1 really showed up. And the Cowboys, unfortunately, are coming off 2 substantial losses, one to Manly and then one last week to Cronulla at home. There's been a lot of questions about what is going to end up happening with this Cowboys side, of how it's going to feel, because at this point in recording we don't know what the team list is going to look like, but I think the Cowboys really need to do something drastic in a way to try to see if they can actually get over the line in this. I do see the Cowboys are paying $5.30, which could extend, and that's like, oh, surely because of the Roosters last week. No. I'm going to stick with my gut. Yeah, I reckon Brisbane should win this game. But if the Cowboys win, then there you go. Now we move on to the Saturday games. And at 3 p.m, we have the Cronulla Sharks taking on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. As I mentioned in the previous tip, the Cronulla Sharks came over the line in a very decent showing against the Cowboys up in North Queensland, while South Sydney just about getting a win in a pretty decent comeback against St George to go 2-2 to start the season. Both teams are going to be quite interesting, because Sharks obviously trying to keep themselves into that top 4 positioning, while the Rabbitohs are trying to make it into the finals. And currently it is a battle between 8th and 5th, so this could be quite an interesting game. But I know I said about the Cowboys paying $5 in the previous game. The Rabbitohs are paying $6 at the moment. But here's the thing. I do feel at like some points in like the round, Cronulla do like to play down opposition, which has been very much a problem for them over the last couple of years. So this again, I think is going to be an interesting look through to see, does this happen again? But honestly, I think this is going to be a lot closer than people think. I think the Rabbitohs win. There we go. This is essentially clip this. Clip this. This is basically just to show that I'm a genius. Now we go into Saturday 5:30 and we have the Dolphins taking on the West Tigers. Now the Dolphins it was really weird. It's like they were our own worst enemy when they took on the Knights on Thursday. And yeah, the Knights just ran roughshod in the first half, and that was enough to get them over the line. And the West Tigers just smacking down Parramatta. It was really good to see free-flowing football. Essentially kind of what everybody expected when you see Benji Marshall as a coach and how a team under them would play. Now, interestingly enough, the Tigers are actually the underdogs in this, paying $1.96 as of right now, with the Dolphins at $1.88. So could have another close matchup. I know the Dolphins do have the talent, but we all know about the trend about when it comes to Wayne Bennett leaving clubs. It does take a while for it to roll over here. But yeah, I think the Tigers go back to back. I reckon they'll win this game. And now we go to Saturday, 7:35, the main event of the round. It is the Gold Coast Titans up against the Newcastle Knights. Now, the Titans had, honestly, a fairly decent showing at Belmore last week in their first game of the season, but unfortunately the Dogs were too good. And the Newcastle Knights had a really good first half over the Dolphins, were able to get the win and make it 2 for 2, so it is pretty interesting. And also, the Knights are in the top 4 now, so... But yeah, this match is going to be interesting, especially when it comes to like who the Knights select, because as of right now, Kai Pearce-Paul will be out because of his accepting a 2-match suspension for his high shot on Saifidi. And then you've also got Leo Thompson and Jacob Saifidi out due to injury, so there's a possibility we're going to see Adam Elliott, Brodie Jones and Tom Cant brought into the side, so it's going to be a bit of a lesser of a forward pack. I think this is going to be quite interesting, but I'm going to still back the boys, because you've got to back the boys, but... Yeah, I think the Knights will get the win, but out of all of the games where I've said the Knights will win, this is probably the least confident I've been this season. Now we move on to Sunday, 4 p.m, and we have, we got a derby here, and it is the Parramatta Eels against the Canterbury Bulldogs. Yeah, it's a rivalry, isn't it? Yeah, surely. Obviously, Parramatta currently bottom of the table, conceding, I believe, it was like 88 points so far in the first 2 rounds. Bulldogs coming off their first game of the season, putting 40 points on the Titans at Belmore. It was good performance, and I just feel that with this game, I think there might be a little bit of a takeover. Essentially, I'm trying to say is I think the Bulldogs are going to be very much out in force for this match because, yeah, obviously they're riding high at the moment. It's been for the last couple of years. Parramatta not going that well. It's I think the atmosphere will all be on the side of the Bulldogs as they go marching enemy territory and try to get the win, and I think that the Bulldogs will be able to get the job done. It's going to be... I don't want to say it's another 13-plus loss, but it's... Unfortunately, it's just... Seems like it is, especially with like Mitchell Moses now, like unlikely now to play till round like 9 or 10. It's like... Oh boy. Now we go into the final game of the round on Sunday at 6:15 p.m. as we see the Manly Sea Eagles take on the Canberra Raiders. Now, the Manly Sea Eagles did try to make it in a bit of a closer game against the Warriors, but just couldn't get the job done, whilst the Raiders showing up, defeating the Brisbane Broncos in a really good match. This is going to be quite a hard one to predict, in all honesty, because this is kind of a match that I could really see going either way, because, you know, Canberra... It'd be really good, like Xavier Savage. Oh boy, how good has he been? And you also got like the forward pack of Canberra going quite well. Manly have also got like a pretty they've got a solid team as well. So yeah, this could be a really interesting matchup. But I'm actually going to go against the grain and tip the underdogs, and I think Canberra will actually get the job done, and they'll go 3 for 3. Which is something I don't think a lot of people have expected at the start of this season. So that is the end of my predictions. Who do you guys have this week? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.